Hi, and welcome to the 13th video in our C# for Beginners tutorial series. In the last video, we took a look at for loops, and we kind of hinted toward these do-while loops. So these do-while loops are a little bit different than for loops because for loops is a very specified number of iterations, where we will see with do-while loops, we can actually recreate the same effect as a for loop, but also we can use it in different circumstances to base it off of a variable that a user can enter to exit the loop if we ever hit that condition. So let's actually go ahead and let's get started here. So here we just have Visual Studio already up and running in a console application. So let's recreate our for loop. So what we will first need is we'll need a variable to use as our counter. So I'm going to initialize a variable called counter. So it's going to be an int counter. And we're going to say that will equal to 0 for now. And then to initialize a do while loop, all we need to do is enter the word do and then a open curly bracket. And then after the closing curly bracket, we will just put while. And we're going to say while counter is less than or equal to 10. And all right, so now we have our do while loop. So now all we're going to do here is we're going to put in console.writeLine, and we're going to write down the value of counter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a counter plus plus to increment our counter. You will not want to forget incrementing your counters in do loops. The failure to put in this increment would cause an infinite loop. So you definitely always want to be a little careful in the do while loops to always make sure that you're incrementing or decrementing your counter if you are doing a numbered loop. So here we have our do while loop, and let's just run that here. So here we will see that it runs kind of as expected. We get our 0 through 10. Now, let's say if we actually initialized our counter here at 11. In theory, for our for loops, if our counter was already above our condition, it would never run. It would just completely skip the for loop. In do while loops, when you actually run it, we actually get the output of 11. And this is because the do while loop will actually execute the loop once because the condition is checked at the end. So this is great if you always want your loop to be executed at least once, and then you want to start checking against a condition. So this is why this works. Now, a very useful example that you can use do while loops for, it's a very real life example, is making a console application menu style feature. So let's actually go ahead and let's actually take a look at that. So I'm just going to erase what we have here because it's not very useful to use a counter in do while loops. There might be some uses for it, but in most cases, if you're wanting a set number of executions, the for loop is probably going to be better. If you're using a counter with the do while loops, you might be doing some incrementing in like some weird fashion, maybe incrementing by 2, by 3 sometimes, and then by 1 sometimes. So it could be good if you have a variable step. So let's actually erase what we have here, and let's build out a menu. So what we're going to first want to do is we're going to want to create our variable for the user input. So we're just going to create a string here called user input, and we're actually not going to make it equal to anything. And then we're going to do our do while loop. So we have our do and then while, and we're going to have while user input is not equal to exit. So we will actually want it to exit once it is our do while loop. We want to exit out of it once the user enters exit. And what we always want to be sure, we've already seen this before, but the user input and any type of input in C# and any type of string comparison is case sensitive. So what I always like to do is always just like to do a to lower. And this way it will force the user input that we have to lower here. Now you're going to notice that we do have a red squiggly. That's just because we haven't assigned user input any value yet, but we're about to do that now. So what we're going to want to do here is we are actually going to want to do a user input is equal to console.readLine. And there you go. The red squiggly has now disappeared. So we are taking input. So what we want to do first is we want to give instructions to the user to tell them their options. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do console.writeLine, welcome to my application, and then let's do a new line here. We're going to say enter a hi or hello for a welcome message, and then let's do another new line here. We're going to say enter math for a fun math equation, and then let's do another new line, enter exit to exit application. All right, so now that we have that, actually end the line here. Perfect. So now we have a console write line, so we should actually, if we run this, we will see that we get welcome to my application, enter hi or hello for a welcome message, enter math for a fun math equation, enter exit to exit application. So we can actually test this right now. If we enter hi, we just get the same thing because we haven't actually programmed any of the functionalities in, but if we enter hello, same thing, math, same thing, and then if we enter exit, we actually completely end our program, which is actually perfect. So we already have the functionality of exit programmed in here. So now all we need to do is actually combine what we've learned in the past couple videos and see what we can do. So what I'm actually going to use here is, since we only have one variable that we're going against, I'm actually going to use a switch statement. Now you can use a if statement, but I'm actually going to use a switch statement. And we are going to switch on the user input. And once again, we're going to switch on the user input, but to lower. We always want to make sure that we standardize that user input or sanitize that user input. And then we're going to do an open and closing curly brackets. And then we're going to put our cases here. So here we have hi or hello for a welcome message. So we'll do case hello. And then we're going to do a case hi and then colon. And then in here, we're going to say console dot write line. Hello there. Thank you for using my application. And then we're going to end that. And then we're going to make sure that we put in our break statement here. And then we're going to have another case for math. And we are going to say console dot write line. And let's just say 1 plus 1 equals 2 as our fun math equation. Then we're just going to do another break. And what we're going to want to do here is we could enter default. And then in the default here, we're just going to say console dot write line command not recognized. And then we're just going to break. All right, so let's actually test this out here. So we are going to run this. So now we get enter hi or hello for a welcome message, enter math for a fun math equation, enter exit to exit application. So let's test out hi. We get hello there, thank you for using my application. And then we get the messages again. And then we can do hello. All right, and then we can say math, we get our math function. And then if we enter exit, when we enter exit, what we would think is we would just exit out of the loop entirely, but we actually got command not recognized. Now we can actually just test out one more thing here. We just enter blah, we get command not recognized, which is fine, and then it reprompts for our commands. And when we type in exit, still exits out of the application, but gives us the command not recognized. So what I would do in this case is I would just add another case here with the word exit, and then all we're simply going to do is just break out of the loop. We don't want to display anything, or maybe we do want to display something. We want to say console.writeLine. Thank you for using my application. Hope you Have a nice day. Perfect. So now if we actually run this, we can actually see that we actually can put in hi, math, hello, um, lame, blah, we get command not recognized, and then we can enter exit, and we get thank you for using my application. I hope you have a nice day. And then it just ends the application right there. So that would be super useful. And now, of course, we just have simple console.writelines, but in a menu application, you would probably be calling some different methods here that you've built out that maybe handle, like maybe math will go into like a calculator application, and hi will go into kind of like prompting the user for their name and then kind of start up a conversation with them. And then exit would just exit out of the application. So that's how you would really use a do while loop in more of a real life scenario, I would say, compared to doing a counter. Now, of course, you can always use a counter in a do while loop and do it that way as well. But a do while loop is really a loop that will always execute at least once and then check the condition for anything else if it wants to run multiple times. So I hope you guys liked that one. The next loop that we're going to be looking at is a while loop. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you guys have any comments or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. If you guys have a question that would benefit a lot of people, I will definitely be making a video on it. If it's a little bit more specific, I will answer you directly. And please feel free to subscribe and hit that like button, and also hit that notification bell to be notified when that next video comes out. And I will see you guys on the next video.